Good morning, and welcome to the Baptist Church of Westchester, those who are here in person and also to those who are joining us online. It is a great day to serve the Lord and to be open and willing to hear His call on our life today, especially as we'll hear about missions a little bit later. The first song we're going to start with this morning is called God So Loved, and we've been playing it these past few weeks, so it's always neat when we start a song and then see how it grows and how our congregation just takes it over and learns it and sings these words with us. So if you'll stand, we'll praise the Lord.
Let's sing, Come All You Weary.
Come all you weary, come all you thirsty, come to the well that never runs dry. Drink of the water, come and thirst no more. For come all you sinners, come find His mercy, come to the table, He will satisfy. Taste of His goodness, find what you're looking for.
Sing God So Loved.
For God so loved the world that He gave us His one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in Him will live forever. Bring all your failures, bring your addictions, come lay them down at the foot of the cross. Jesus is waiting there with open arms. For God so loved the world that He gave us His one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in Him will live forever. The power of hell forever defeated. Now it is well. I'm walking in freedom. For God so loved the world. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, for the wonders of His love.
Sing that again, praise God.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, for the wonders of His love. For God so loved the world that He gave us His one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in Him will live forever. The power of hell forever defeated. Now it is well. I'm walking in freedom. For God so loved the world. And I could just sit and wait for all your goodness, hope to feel your presence. And I could just stay right where I am and hope to feel you, hope to feel something again. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me I could hold on. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. And I could be safe. I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home. Never let these walls down, but you have called me higher. You have called me deeper, and I will go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me higher. You have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. Where you lead me.
Sing, I will be yours.
And I will be yours, Lord. I will be yours for all my life. And I will be yours, Lord. I will be yours for all my life. And I will be yours, Lord. I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy light the path before me. And you have called me higher. You have called me deeper, and I will go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me higher. You have called me deeper, and I will go where you will lead me, Lord. Where you lead me. You lead me, Lord.
Amen. You may be seated for this next song. This song is called Never Walk Alone, and it's by Hillsong. And occasionally Ryan will have me listen to a song or two, and he'll say, you know, what's your opinion? What do you think? Like, what sounds like us? What sounds like will really resonate with our congregation and our people? And this one, I think, has been playing for me nonstop for the past, 2 weeks. Ryan's like, oh, you really like this one. So I hope, our prayer and our hope is that it resonates as much with you all as it does with us. So it's Never Walk Alone.
Your heart is for me. Your ear is listening. I'm safe in your love. Your army of angels watch over me. You're always present. You're always with me. For all of my life, your favor has followed. You're my covering. I have never walked alone. I've never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me. You're my deliverer. I know I'll never walk alone. You're always faithful. You're strong and my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me. You're my deliverer. I know I never walk alone. Every hour, every minute, you have always been there. You are faithful, and you always will be. In every triumph, every failure, you are loyal to me. You are faithful, and you always will be. I have never walked alone, never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me. You're my deliverer. I know I never walk alone.
Hi, everyone. Warning, you're going to see a lot of me today. My name's Ryan. I am the head of the praise band and also the mission and outreach team. This is the time we receive God's tithes and our offerings. We're currently not passing around the plates as part of our COVID precautions. We instead use this time to thank God for the many ways he blesses each of us and the ministries of our church. We have some pretty great examples of that highlighted in our mission moment and with our guest speaker here today. We also acknowledge the ways you can give if you're able. Through our website, you can mail in your offering, or you can leave it in the plates if you're here. We're thankful for each person that contributes their time, their treasures, their talents to further the ministries here in Westchester, and as Sue will highlight, far beyond our community. So let's pray now. Dear Lord, thank you for the gift of abundant life. We bring you our offering, and your generosity overflows to us. We recognize everything we have belongs to you. Guide our footsteps. Be with those in our church family and community who are hurting and need healing, who are lost and need direction. Be with those who are called to do your work and to share the good news. With the leadership of our church as we search for a new pastor and we tackle the important issues of today. Thank you for the peace you give us, knowing we never walk alone in every triumph, in every failure. We lift up your name. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. And now we'll go to a video of my backyard. We have Emily delivering the children's message about planting seeds.
Good morning, boys and girls. Miss Emily here, along with some of my favorite people, to share the children's message this morning. I was doing some yard work today, and just imagine this whole section here covered in big, tall, dead weeds. Just lots of them covered it. And I decided I was going to see what was underneath. And when I did, there's this beautiful green Pachysandra, which your parents will know what that is, growing healthy underneath. I was so excited to find it, and it got me thinking about yard work and gardening. Have you ever helped your parents in the yard with a garden or maybe some yard work? There's lots of tools that we can use to help us. Like, for example, this thing to help pull some weeds or to loosen the dirt if you're gonna plant something. Also, you will always find Kate and I wearing gloves to protect our hands And Mr. Ryan is modeling some fantastic protective eyewear, which can be helpful when you're, using the weed whacker or something. It also got me thinking about all of these tools are great, but without the seeds, they don't mean anything. Without seeds to grow, you just have dirt, just a whole lot of dirt. It got me thinking about a story from the book of Matthew about a farmer planting some seeds. And as he was planting, some of these seeds that he threw to the ground fell on rocks. And do you think those seeds grew from the rocks? No, they didn't have anything to root into. And then he threw some other seeds, and some animals came and ate them. What animals do you think? Yeah,
and other animals.
The birds, for sure. The birds scooped them up. They didn't even have a chance to grow. But then the other seeds that he threw fell on good, rich, nutritious soil, and they planted really deep roots, and then they grew into just beauty. This made me think of all the seeds that God plants in our hearts, and the seeds that he's planted in all of your hearts. Did he plant seeds of musical talent that you want to share, maybe with the praise band sometime? Or did he plant seeds of missions and wanting to tell people all about Jesus, either here in our town of Westchester or around the world? Did he plant seeds of kindness and joy that are just immensely needed in our world, and that bright light that shines with joy and kindness? I know that he's planted many good seeds in all of you, and I can't wait to see how they take root and what they grow into. Would you pray with me? Dear God, thank you so much for your seeds that create beauty, not only on the ground, but also in our hearts and in our lives. We hope that we use your seeds for good in this world, and that we share them with others as you would want us to. And all God's people said, Amen.
Thanks, Emily. The children can be dismissed now for KFC. Let's stand and sing our first hymn. It's number 379, Take My Life. We're going to do verses 1, 2, and 3. Amen. You may be seated. I'm going to invite Linda, Barb, and Heather up now for our mission moment. I'll get us started. Mission and outreach, what does it mean? Why does it exist here? We carry out and continue the work of Jesus Christ on earth. Broken down in its simplest form, we're here to help those in need. This small church has always had such a big heart for mission. You may have noticed I said mission and outreach. Outreach is how we reach the unchurched. It's how we grow what we're doing here. It's dialogue we should always be having. I hope many of you see the mission moments that are emailed out. Please let me know if you don't. We want you to know that the mission of our church never stops. Today, we highlight a few areas of our mission focus at BCWC. Looking ahead, as we all get acclimated to our new norm here, we want to be better about communicating opportunities to serve inside these walls, but also offering opportunities to serve outside these walls. So speaking of new opportunities to serve others, we have Linda Homer Hurley here to talk with us about an opportunity to help with Bridge of Hope.
Good morning. I'm curious how many people know of Bridge of Hope? Okay, so we were founded over 30 years ago. We're a nonprofit, and we were based in the Coatesville area initially. We're now a nationwide national company, and we're in 13 states with 26 locations. So we've grown a lot. In the past year, we had a 27% growth, and what we do is we help people who are either homeless or in danger of becoming homeless. It's almost always single mothers, occasionally a single dad, but normally single mothers. And our motto is churches respond, homelessness ends, and hope begins. I recently talked to two moms who went through our program. One had made a donation. I called to speak with her, and I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "You're in a much better place." And she said, "I'm thriving." What we do is as you'll see in our video, we have a partnership between a case manager at Bridge of Hope and a church with a group of neighboring volunteers, which is about 6 to 8 people, and then the family. So with that beautiful model, it gives everybody a hand up and not a hand out, and gets them to sustainable housing and on a road to where they want to go. So I think that's probably enough if we want to show the video.
Do we want to try that again with audio, or not going to happen? No? Okay. All right, we'll share that video. We'll share that video via email. Thank you, Linda. The opportunity is we're looking to see if there's interest to form a small team of 4 to 5 people to support. I guess we would be linked with a family there. So we'll send out a follow-up email with that video and more on that opportunity. So next up is Barb.
Good morning, and I hope the video works because I don't have a whole lot to say. My name is Barb Myers, and for those of you who don't know me, I am a member of the Mission Outreach Board, and I'm sure you could figure that out at this point. But I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Westchester Food Cupboard, and hopefully the video will tell you a little bit more. I started volunteering at the Food Cupboard probably in around 2018, and the reason that I chose that as an organization to volunteer with was because I knew our church helped to support the organization through funds, through our Super Bowl of Caring, and from other volunteers in the church, folks from the church who went down and volunteered in the cupboard itself, working with clients, as well as driving those folks who didn't have transportation to and from the food cupboard. When I got to the food cupboard, I learned right away that it serves a variety of different people. There are retired nurses and teachers whose pensions just don't go as far as they would like them to do. We have elderly whose Social Security checks don't stretch as much as they need to. We have working families who, despite having 2 jobs, do not have enough money to meet the needs to support their family, to feed their kids. We also have college students, sometimes first-time students from marginalized families who have gotten an opportunity through a tuition to get to college, but all that does is pay for the tuition. They still have to provide their own room and board. So we have college students living in their cars, as well as coming to the cupboard for food. So the cupboard does an amazing job trying to meet the needs of so many people in our community. I just wanted to give you just a few statistics. This is from the report for the month of October. The cupboard served 318 Westchester clients and 124 clients from out of the area, for a total of 442 clients, people in need. 12 outreach programs received 44,702 pounds of food, and that was just for the month of October. So as you watch the video, I hope it will open your minds, open your hearts, and encourage you to engage in with the food cupboard, be it through donations, through food donations, and maybe even your time as a volunteer. I thank you, because again, no one should go hungry. And hopefully the video will work.
We could not do what we do without the generous support of the local community, and there is no better example of that than the Baptist Church of Westchester. You regularly contribute your time, talent, and treasure in a variety of ways.
Many of our volunteers are members of your congregation. These volunteers handle a variety of roles. We couldn't run the operation without you. I can't forget to mention the many times your youth group has come and volunteered with us. Some of our clients are unable to get to the cupboard for a variety of reasons, including lack of transportation or health concerns. You provide critical assistance with this challenge by coordinating and providing a food pickup service for these clients. Your congregation provides generous financial support to the cupboard. Additionally, we receive contributions directly from some members of your church. Finally, your food drives are a great source of products for us. I had the great pleasure of meeting Pastor Zach when he dropped off a truckload of donations.
I've taken up enough of your time this morning. Thank you again for your consistent and generous support. You are making a difference and helping to change lives.
Good morning. I don't have a video today, so you get to stare at me. All right, so when Ryan first asked me to give an update this morning for Mission Sunday, I have to admit I did not know where to start at first, as it seems like a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last year has been just so much of day by day or week by week, fully depending on whatever is right in front of us. I'm sure many of you can relate to that, most likely. But if you don't know by now, N2 is the humanitarian arm of Cru, and there's just a bit of a humanitarian crisis happening around the world currently. So it'd be easy for me to stand up here and share about the many challenges that we've faced over the last year, but I think more importantly than that is for me to share about all the ways that God has continued to show up through the ministry, because he has never left us. So I am happy to say that none of our containers of aid have needed to be canceled from shipping complications over the last year, which is a huge praise. Many of them have been delayed, very much delayed, or faced new customs requirements around the world, but all of them thus far have made it to their final destination, praise God. As for myself, earlier this fall, I had the chance to travel down to Virginia for a short time to help lead a mini packing project where campus students had collected school supplies to be shipped overseas. This was super fun because we're trying to bridge the gap that we have from the campus ministry team and give them more opportunities to serve with the humanitarian part of it. So this was really cool. It was a campus that we had never been on before, and we were able to invite students to have an opportunity to serve, and it was really great. Just last week, we had our regular October packing project at our warehouse out in Lancaster. It was still a bit smaller than our usual one, but we had about a dozen of our remote staff fly in to help for the week, which was super great. They were happy to get out of their home state, and we were happy to have them. Having them, in addition to about 100 volunteers a day, made it feel like one big reunion that we were really missing. It was a long week. It was very tiresome, but we were just grateful to have everyone together under the same roof serving, and definitely to help with the workload a bit. So if you can continue to be in prayer for all of us at Unto, for us to stay focused on the mission and to not grow weary. There's lots of hard labor there, but as well as for all of our shipping logistics to run smoothly as that continues to pan out over the next few months and maybe even years. So thank you guys for all of your support.
It's really so very good to be here with you this morning. Just before I begin, I do want to mention there is a display in the back, and feel free to check out some things about Costa Rica there. This Mission Sunday is a great opportunity for you to see what it is that you have been how you have been serving your community and also around the world. There is no sermon today, but I do feel that I'd be remiss if I didn't read any scripture at all. And so I chose a passage in 2 Corinthians 8, verses 1 through 7. And before I read it, I want to say that in this passage, Paul is using the example of the Macedonian churches who took up a special offering for the Christians in Jerusalem who were going through a very difficult time. And he used the example of the Macedonians to encourage the Corinthians to get their act together and to give as well. Of course, Paul doesn't leave it there. I mean, he gives it a very theological turn. But he says, "And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace that God has given the Macedonian churches. In the midst of a very severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability. Entirely on their own, they urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the Lord's people. And they exceeded our expectations. They gave themselves first of all to the Lord, and then by the will of God also to us. So we urged Titus, just as he had earlier made a beginning, to bring also to completion this act of grace on your part. But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving." Paul praises the Macedonian churches for their generosity, but he also specifies what that source is, what the purpose is. First, they gave themselves to the Lord, and then, because of that, they then supported Paul. Titus was also sent to the church in Corinth to collect their offerings. And it was a partnership between the churches, supporting each other in their needs, as well as supporting Paul's new outreaches. This would probably be enough for a whole sermon, but we aren't going to go there. But as Paul praised the Macedonian churches for their commitment to the Lord and his will, I too want to thank you at the Baptist Church of Westchester for your support. We are partners in mission. I do see it that way. And mission is first giving yourself to God and then to those we are called to serve, whether it be in Westchester, this country, or elsewhere in the world. And as I share what ministry in Costa Rica looks like, I hope you will see how your partnership has made a difference in others' lives. Part of my work is helping work tours from the U.S. as they do projects with the Baptist churches and the Baptist camp in Costa Rica. But I also give presentations to the Baptist churches on domestic violence and how churches can begin responding. It's not a favorite topic. A lot of pastors don't want me to touch it. But the churches that dare to face the issue get good responses from the members and the community. I have to say, I am always amazed and pleased when the victims are willing to speak up and share their experiences. And in fact, the last Saturday before the pandemic shut down the churches in mid-March 2020, I did a workshop at a church which invited the community to share. And 5 Catholic women showed up because some of them had been victims of domestic violence. And it was really a wonderful outreach in their community that we were able to address this topic together. However, the bulk of my work is with Nicaraguan immigrant women and their children, and most of them are coming out of domestic violence situations as well as trying to make their way in a country which is highly prejudiced against them. During the pandemic, I decided to begin a project that I've always wanted to do, but I thought I'd do it when I retired. But that was to write a series of studies on women in the Bible. And I was able to lead 5 studies over Zoom for a church mission in a housing project. And at that point, I realized that many of these studies really lend themselves to helping people who are immigrants, because a lot of the subjects of the Bible studies were immigrants, and those who are economically disadvantaged. So as the pandemic situation lessened, then I decided that I would start studies in my home. And I did it with all the women and their daughters who were old enough. And one of the oldest teenage boys took care of the younger kids in my backyard while we were in the living room. Unfortunately, we had another wave of COVID, and I had to suspend the meetings because when I saw that my home church canceled in-person services, I didn't think that that was a very good thing to do either, to keep on doing that. But during the last study that we did have, I suddenly realized that most of these mothers never finished elementary school, and so that means they don't read very well. So that means that I need to make these Bible studies have an impact on them as well by using non-traditional activities that they're going to be able to learn actively. So I hope to add in some activities like that during my home assignment time, because I believe that these studies can use Scripture to encourage them in their faith, transform their old thought patterns, and teach them life skills. The women that I work with often feel that they are without options. I like this quote because of that. I think it's true. These women are in a new country, usually without social connections, and a total dependence on a partner who brought them there. Many times that person is also violent, but leaving that person who supports them financially is practically impossible because they have children to support as well. For example, one of the women that I work with tried to leave by moving the family in with her family, and however, it happened to her on a number of occasions that the landlord threatened to evict everyone because there were too many people in a small apartment. So basically they returned to their abuser because they didn't want to cause problems for their siblings. Few have finished elementary school, so their job skills are limited. The deck is stacked against them. When I first went to Costa Rica, I enjoyed working with women, but it wasn't until I began working with Nicaraguan immigrants that I really felt at home. You see, many years ago in the 1990s, I can't believe it's been that long, I lived in Nicaragua for 5 years, so I get the cultural differences between Costa Ricans and Nicaraguans, and there are a number of them. There's many wonderful, beautiful things about Nicaraguan culture, but one of the negative tendencies is that people tend to play victim and hope someone will rescue them. However, the women that I work with really are counterculture because they recognize that they have to take initiative to work towards something positive for their future and that of their children. That initiative can include taking lessons, learning how to sew, how to run a small business, starting immigration paperwork, finding housing when they've been evicted, starting a business to support their family, taking tutoring to finish elementary school, putting a restraining order on their abuser, and so many other things. And a lot of these things they can do themselves. But yet for other things, they need assistance, someone to walk alongside them. And that is what my ministry is most of the time. And you partner alongside me in that, making it all possible. Maria, a woman who lived with domestic violence every weekend when her husband drank most of his pay away, decided that she'd had enough. Learning that she was created in God's image as well as men, that domestic violence is not part of God's plan, she said no more. After getting a job as a maid, moving out, putting a restraining order on her ex, Maria also asked for help. So with your faithful mission support, we partnered with her. We got her immigration papers that resulted in legal residency and the possibility of opening a bank account. We support her studying to pass elementary school exams. We helped out during the pandemic when her work hours were cut and she didn't have enough money to pay both rent and feed her 5 kids. We have shared innumerable cups of coffee as we talk about what's going on in our lives, looking over what the options are for different problems and praying together. I also take her and her 3 youngest children to church with me. Maria does have a new future with hope in the Lord. But I also don't want you to get the wrong idea that because ministry is relationship and it's a two-way street. Maria is also my friend, and she's always willing to help out if I need it. And it never ceases to amaze me how generous she is. She has a friend, Katya, who is messed up. She's a victim of abuse from a stepfather starting at age 6. She's a single mother now with 3 small children. Maria got Katya in to see her abuse counselor for free and helps her out with food donations from time to time, despite not having abundance herself. She tries to give Katya good advice, such as not striking up online relationships with guys in prison. But she did come to the Bible study a few times. It isn't easy, as she's not always open to making those smarter choices. But God calls us to keep trying. I'd also like to share a bit of Ura's life story with you and how your giving has impacted her life. She fled to Costa Rica in 2018 from political violence in Nicaragua with her husband and 4 children. I first met Ura while giving a class in a slum area. After a few weeks, her husband decided that he wanted to return to Nicaragua and forced the issue by kidnapping their son. He believed that she would follow him with the 3 girls, even though he'd taken all the money that she had saved up. She felt paralyzed. She didn't know what to do. And as time passed, though, she began to feel that God was calling her to stay in Costa Rica because her children had a better chance for a good future. We prayed over this situation for months, and she was able to negotiate with her husband, who returned their son after a year's absence. In the meantime, Ura felt God inspired her to support her family by selling tortillas in the neighborhood. I began seeing her reality firsthand. For example, the police harassed her about her tortilla stand several times. They tried to tear it down. A neighborhood drug dealer threatened to kill one of her customers from outside the barrio and succeeded in chasing off her best customer. And she was evicted twice from shacks that had been put up on land. Basically, again, we walked alongside her through these crises. Most importantly, we began her process of legalizing her immigration status. It is a lengthy and expensive process, but key to her family's integration into Costa Rica. So we filled out forms, we secured the documents from Nicaragua, and went into the immigration offices several times. The day I left Costa Rica, September 10th, she had her final interview and is expecting her legal residency, hopefully this week. It's been over 2.5 years, but we are grateful to God for the finalization of this process. In January, Ura had an accident. A heavy grill fell on her foot, and she was unable to stand for weeks until her daughter told me about it. Without money, she never went to see a doctor. They were doing home treatments. But I was able to get her the treatment that she needed for her foot to heal, and she now has medical coverage under her residency. I just learned that she has a full-time job at a local bakery right now. This is wonderful news. Financial stability. And in so many ways, your financial support has been key to Ura's family survival in very practical ways. There have been some God moments too. In 2019, there were a lot of artificial Christmas tree sales. And I asked Ura if she thought they might like a small one, and her response was to cry. And I thought, oh dear, what happened? But she proceeded to tell me that her youngest daughter had been praying for a Christmas tree because they'd never had one before. And she was convinced that God was going to answer her prayers. But her mother had been trying to tell her that they couldn't afford one and that God was going to say no in this case, except God actually said yes. However, I think the biggest way your support has impacted Ura is spiritually and emotionally. Through getting to know her over the years, I heard her story of pain. It took time to learn how as a teen she was raped, and then in a misguided attempt to protect her, her mother married her off to the guy. Her husband continued to beat her and her older daughters throughout their time together. It was a revelation to Ura when we told her about a loving God who abhors domestic violence. After all, her church in Nicaragua had taught her that any time something went wrong in the marriage, it was the woman's fault and that she needed to do whatever was necessary to fix it. She chose not to subject herself and her kids to domestic violence anymore. Also, when I met her in the beginning, she was very insecure, very fearful. And now I see a brave woman who's willing to try new things and has more confidence. I visited with Ura just a few days before I left, and she shared that she felt like a different person than the woman I'd met in August of 2018. I believe that because I was a woman, that suffering was my lot in life, but I don't think that anymore. I know that God has a much better direction for my life and my kids. I'm so thankful for all your help. I feel like a new person and have a much brighter outlook on life. She then showed me something that she had done. She found a piece of plywood and painted a flower, which you can see behind me, to express the hope that she feels now. So thank you, BCWC, for how you have touched Ura's and her children's lives with God's love, hope, and transformation. As Paul praises the Macedonians for their partnership and offerings to help the Christians in Jerusalem, we, modern-day Christians, also have opportunities. You reach out in your community, as we've seen by some of the presentations that we've heard before. You also have an opportunity to give to the World Mission Offering, which supports American Baptist International Ministries work around the world. I encourage you to give generously to this offering. It's a partnership between you, International Ministries, missionaries, and national leaders in a way of sharing God's love, hope, and redemption around our world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. Let's stand and sing our response hymn, number 296.
Lord, thank you because you have redeemed us, but you have also called us. Help us now to take the love that you have shown us, go forth into the world, and show your love to others. Amen.